Hello and welcome back. It's time for another Kellerman vlog. This is where we reread the murder mysteries by author Jonathan Kellerman and we talk about them. Things that I like, things that I don't like, things that bother me, just stuff I wish I could discuss with the author and publisher, but instead I have the privilege of discussing it with you. Today's book is Serpentine. Now these vlogs are intended for people that have read the books, but if you haven't, here's a brief synopsis. There might be some spoilers. So our main characters are psychologist Alex Delaware and LAP detective Milo Sturgis. There's a woman named Ellie who is young, who's a young millionaire who founded some sort of athletic wear company, and she does not know what happened to her mother. Her mother ran off and presumably was killed when she was very young, and she's always wanted to know what happened to her mother. She mentions this to another wealthy person who mentions it to a politician who mentions it to an LAPD chief or assistant chief or whatever. It makes its way down to Milo, who coincidentally knows the wealthy woman, not the woman whose mother disappeared, but the other one. It's kind of a coincidence, kind of not, sort of relevant to the plot, not really. Anyhow, so Milo is now stuck with this case of investigating a 30-year-old missing person and or murder, which is an impossible thing to solve. But they make some headway on it. And that's really all I can tell you without spoilers. So, let's get into my notes. First of all, it took me a while to work out why the book is called Serpentine, which is an unusual name. Kellerman likes one-word names, and a lot of them are really simple, like killer, murder, motive, therapist, and Serpentine's an unusual name. I'm sure it's not, maybe it's not him that likes one-word names. It's like the publishing company is like, if you give it a one-word name, more people will buy it. Maybe it's their decision. I don't know. But Serpentine is an unusual name, so I like that. But it took me a while to figure out why it's called Serpentine. I won't give that away. It's not integral to the plot, but it is kind of cool. I've only read this book a handful of times, so I'm still formulating my thoughts. I like it. Kellerman continues to have more originality in these later books than in some of the middle era ones. Like some of the other later ones, I think the imagery doesn't hit me as effectively, but in this case I'm reserving judgment because I've only read it a few times. So here are my notes. For starters, why didn't Andrea, the wealthy woman who was seating next to the woman who lost her mother, why didn't she go straight to Milo? She knew Milo. Like, she could have just called him up and said, hey, I've got this case I want you to investigate. She didn't have to go through the politicians and whatever all the way back down to Milo. Although I guess going that way kind of ensured that he had more power behind him, but it also meant that it made it more difficult for him. So I don't know. She could have just gone straight to him. And that all makes me wonder. Jamocha almond fudge is a theme in the books. I think it was either Moses or Aaron that likes that. In this case, Ellie, the woman with the missing mother, likes it. Maybe it's a favorite flavor of Kellerman's, or maybe someone in his family, but it's definitely a flavor that reoccurs. And I'm actually going to Google it right now because is that Baskin Robbins? I guess I have to spell it right. I've never had it, but it sounds like something I would like. Okay, my internet's down, so we'll Google that. Maybe it'll be back up by the time I'm done talking. So I'll keep that window open. I have a note that says Shahrazad, and I can't figure out what I was referring to. I'm just throwing that out there because I made the note, but then I went back and searched the book for it, and I couldn't figure it out. So if you know why I made that note, comment. They could have mentioned Tony Duke instead of Hugh Hefner, and it would have been a really nice piece of continuity. I love it when things circle back, when the universe is continuous and all of that. And maybe a little sad to see the Hefner reference instead of Duke. Even though I know that Hefner was more of an actual playboy than Tony Duke. Tony Duke's image was that, but he was more of a wholesome guy, and Hef was less wholesome. But again, that was Tony Duke's image, so the person who mentioned him didn't know that that image wasn't real. Would have been great to mention him. And I liked Ben Duggar, and you guys know if you watch these that I love Lauren Teague. I wanted to hug her so bad, which I couldn't because both she died and she wasn't real. So that's two reasons. Okay, here I go on a rant again. The ending of this book confuses me. Is the thing about DNA a lie to make Ellie happy? Or is it true and Kellerman left us in the dark for half the book about what Alex and Milo were doing? Milo claims to have swiped a juice cup, but during that visit Ellie drank tea, not juice, and the security guard was in the kitchen the whole time. Every time I get to the end of this book, I get confused and frustrated. if somebody can help me with that, let me know. Otherwise, maybe that was just a flaw in the writing. You know, the Kellerman's books are not flawless, but that really bothers me. Okay, next up is City of the Dead, which I haven't read yet, and I have read yet at the time of this filming. When I wrote that note, I hadn't read it yet. And so I was very excited then to read it, and I'm very excited now to talk about it because it's going to be the first time I've done notes on a book that I hadn't read before. So that's the next video. Again, I hope you guys are as excited about it as I am. Let me see if my internet connection is back up to certain. Yep, it is. So just in case anybody's curious, every night I have my router programmed to go down for 5 minutes just to give everything in the house a chance to reset. And it's supposed to be in the middle of the night when everybody's asleep. So what that tells you is I should be asleep right now. And I was right. Jamocha Almond Fudge is Baskin Robbins. So I hope that information is helpful. Thanks for watching. See you next vlog.